Welcome, brothers, sisters, and extended soul family, to another new moon tarot card reading. This is, of course, a timeless reading, so whenever you find it and one or all or a combination of the piles resonates with you, it's the right time for you to find it. So, for those of you who aren't watching it on the new moon that this is posted on, just know that it's an estimation of either new moon to new moon or the next 2 or 3 weeks of your life. So, this reading I'm leaving very open, very general, no specific questions, unless in the reading I feel like asking specific questions. And we're just going to look at what the overarching energies are for you. So, what's going on, what might be happening in your life right now, based on what kind of energies you're going through or you're going to be surrounded by. So, we'll just jump right in and see what's going on. I'll introduce your piles to you real quick, and then you can pause the reading if you want more time to decide or choose your piles. And then you can go down to the timestamps in the description and click whichever pile or piles you may be drawn to. So, as always, I just want to remind you one more time this reading or these readings are here only to help you, not to tell you who or what you are or what is or isn't going to happen to you. So take what resonates and leave the rest, because at the end of the day, this is just entertainment if it doesn't apply to you. So, with that being said, we have 3 piles, as I always do for the new moon readings. And I will be giving each of the piles a crystal you can choose with, and I'll be introducing you to some tarot cards that we'll be using to ask for some different details or more specific questions in the pile readings. These are all significator cards. A lot of them are oracle cards, and each pile has the same oracle cards, but maybe in different quantities. For pile number 1, we're going to be using this little agate carving. So it's a stingray on top of a little slice of agate. So cute. So he is for pile number 1. The rose quartz is going to be for pile number 2. Put that there. And our last stone is simply just a chunk of quartz. It's more on the clear quartz end of things. It has a little bit of smokiness to it, but I'm not sure I would call it smoky quartz. But that will be for pile number 3. And you can call it what you want, especially if you're picking pile number 3. So if you want to choose based on the piles or the crystals, you can pause now. I'm going to start introducing the tarot cards for this reading, though. So for pile number 1 was very, very specific. They wanted 2 different tarot card decks. We'll figure out why in the reading, but this first tarot card deck is called the Classic Tarot, and it's modeled very closely off of the original, like, Rider-Waite Tarot. So we'll put that perhaps off to the side where you'll be able to see everything. And the second tarot card deck that we're going to be using for pile number 1 is the Stained Glass Tarot. So normally I'll have a tarot card deck that resonates well with a pile. Pile number 1 originally didn't want a tarot card deck. They wanted an oracle card deck. And I said, like, no, I want something a little bit more specific. And they said, fine, I don't care which tarot card decks you use as long as you pick 2 of them. So these are the 2 that seemed to have good energies that fit pile number 1. And we'll put them here for you so you can still see them if you would like to. Pile number 2 is using a tarot called the Shadowscapes Tarot. It's a lot of watercolor-based illustrations. It's really soft, super delicate. So for pile number 2, I'm thinking since they'll actually fit where they are intended to fit, we'll put them here with the crystal. Or should we put the crystal in the middle? That works. I kind of liked it up top, but okay. And our last deck we're going to be using is called the New Chapter Tarot. And the New Chapter Tarot is designated for pile number 3. So I'll put that over here. There we go. And once again, if you would like more time to select your piles, you can pause, take as much time as you need, and I will see you in the reading. Welcome, my dears, to pile number 1. So if you selected your pile based on the agate slab with a little stingray on top, you found the right pile. We'll put him here. He looks good over there. Or if you selected using your 2 tarot decks instead of 1, the classic tarot and the stained glass tarot, you have also found the right pile. So for the tarot cards, like I usually do, we're going to put them aside for the moment and we'll get some extra questions or specific details hopefully answered with them later, depending on who I'm talking to and what they're interested in telling me. So we'll start with your significator cards. Most of these are oracle cards, except for like a couple tarot cards. And we'll see what we get and just jump right in. So thank you for choosing me as your reader, and we'll get started. So I think we'll start with the top cards. So your first card is the Cosmic Wheel. There's something about a color palette with your pile. I don't think it has to do with a specific color. I think it has to do with a feel you get when you combine some softer earth and ocean tones together. So these like more muted browns and beiges, as well as these more muted, not necessarily pastel, lighter and darker blues here. I'm not really sure what that is, but perhaps we'll get more information. I do know when I was picking tarot card decks, the classic tarot stood out to me because it does have like a softer, more muted color palette. So there's something to do with that. So your second card is the Garden of Dream. Let me zoom in a little bit there so you can see it better. When I look at this, I kind of see like this main cloud up top being like a brain with a brain stem, and all these little blobs being more floating brains. And I think the picture or the artist just intended for them to be like clouds. I'm not getting any super discerning characteristics that would make it a brain. So there may or may not be something there. Perhaps this card just isn't high enough resolution for me to determine that for you. But in both of these cards, there are small objects that are multiple colors that aren't necessarily the focal point of the piece, but they seem to have significance or motion with them anyway. So we'll see what that's about. Your next card is this oracle card, and it says, "The tree remembers." We'll put that over here, I suppose. So I'm getting, in the Garden of Dream card, there's a tree. and there's two figures, but they're quite far away from the tree, and the tree is pretty high up, and there's no way for the figures to get to that tree, at least that's shown in the picture. But in this card, the tree remembers, the 36 numbered card, there are a lot of figures that were able to reach a large tree, and they're like surrounding it, and it's quite literally within arm's reach. I think there's something going on here with perhaps like the cycles that you're going through, where you didn't have access to some kind of information, and I think it's more along the lines of like a memory, but not in terms of necessarily like a memory of something you did in your past, like your distant past or as a child and you forgot about it, and now it's coming back and it's really important. Maybe for some of you that's the case, but I think that's definitely not the majority of this pile. What I'm getting is like this is more on a higher self or like a soul level, um, like an inner child level, perhaps for some of you, where there's some kind of awakening that might be happening with you, where you're getting access to information about maybe your divine purpose of why you wanted to live out a lifetime on earth, or maybe you're going to have like a really profound epiphany or realization about what it is you really want to do and accomplish or enjoy while you're here on earth. And it's going to feel, for some of you, I'm hearing like a breath of fresh air, but for a lot of you, I think that this is going to be very invigorating. It's going to breathe a lot of motivation, satisfaction, well being, purpose, fulfillment, joy, even like bliss into your life, because it's going to feel like, I think for some of you, for the first time in a long time, it's going to feel like you being here matters. You having a physical body on earth and going through all of these high effort days that is a lifetime is going to be worth it again. Because I think for some of you, you really needed this because it didn't feel like there was a reason for you to be here. And you tried to cope with it the best you could by enjoying yourself when you were able to enjoy yourself. But I think that with your personality, there's a very large difference for you in enjoying life on a deep soul, not surface level, where you have to feel like what you're doing is meaningful for you, and you have to feel like there is a greater purpose that you're serving. And that's not a bad thing, but what that means is that you do have a greater purpose. And when you came here to Earth, one of the stipulations almost all of us humans have is that we have what I like to call spiritual amnesia, where you did come here for a reason and you picked this lifetime for a reason, but you don't remember what that is when you get here because that would negate some of the importance of why we're here. And I think for you, you're getting memories or hints or reawakenings of some of the reasons of why you're here because you're ready for it. You can handle it. You're in a position to where you can do something about it. Because I think it would be very counterproductive if somebody told you, like, you're here to change the world in a very profound way and you need to do like X, Y, and Z, like over I don't know. I'm getting a very extreme example of like overthrow whoever's leading like the government that you're in now and then become the new leader of that government, whether that be um, like a mayor or a president or I don't want to say dictator, but some other very high up person of power, like a prime minister or something. And for someone who isn't prepared to do that, or doesn't see in their current situation the means to do that, like they've never been in politics before, or they're only like 14 or something, that can be like very frustrating to hear because what they resonate with as their life's purpose is so intangible from their point of view, and they're so like surprised and taken aback by hearing about this that it doesn't really help their mental situation or motivate them. It instead can make them feel like overwhelmed and unworthy and like a failure. So I'm hearing that like this information was kept from you for a while simply to protect you and let you flourish and develop skills and values on your own so that when you are hit with this like really profound life goal or goals or purpose, it doesn't seem intimidating and uh like an impossible task or setback for you. It's instead motivating and exciting and inspiring, and now you have something to look forward to and work towards, and that makes you very happy. So we'll move on. We have a lot more cards than just three here. So the next card we have is numbered 8, and it says the cocoon stage. One thing I hear when I look at the number 8 on this card is that in tarot, the number 8 is more often than not the strength card. And the what I'm hearing more than anything is that like you've developed a lot of strength going through what you've been through. I'm hearing there were like a lot of trials and tribulations. And even though this card says cocoon stage, it doesn't depict anywhere on here like a cocoon or shell or like masking of any kind. And I think that's because even though you were in a stage of extreme, very quick development, you were still doing a lot and going out into the world quite often. So even in this stage of developing quickly, which to others can look like a lot of rest, maybe to you it didn't feel like a lot of rest or like you got to sit down and just be with yourself and mature in a way that you would commonly associate like with a cocoon stage. So we'll put that here and we'll continue on. These next two cards are the tarot cards of the bunch. So your first one is the Queen of Swords. And the Queen of Swords are very powerful. All the queens and kings are powerful in their own right. Um, but she is, I don't want to say a master manipulator, that's not quite right. But she's very good at convincing people through spoken language what it is that she desires. She's good at conveying her thoughts, stances, opinions, arguments, emotions through spoken words. She's very cunning. She's, I don't want to say just calculating, but when she does calculate, she's very good at explaining those rationalizations to others around her. And so that makes her very good at quite a few things, public speaking, debates. She's very convincing. Um, And that can be a good quality for somebody who's going to pursue a position or is in a position of power, leadership, teaching, working in a group setting, something where communication is one of the best skills that you can have. Convincing keeps coming up, delegation keeps coming up, and being in a position of power comes up quite often for this reading. So I think for some of you, you took the time to just be who you were. For some of you, I'm hearing just be a kid before a lot of these responsibilities were placed on you, because um, there are, in certain aspects and ways, times when you're going to feel like you're restricted, even though you're fulfilling part of your life purpose or goals that you really want to, and you're going to be happy about it. It would feel more like you were missing out on certain things if you weren't able to go experience those things before inheriting or rising to whatever position of power or authority you may be coming into soon or have been brought into recently. Okay, the next card we have here is the Lovers, and it's in reverse. Reverse cards can mean a lot of things. They don't really mean anything negative to me inherently. I like to put that disclaimer out there the first time I see a reverse card, just because I think some people have uh, that belief, and it just depends on how you prefer to get messages from your tarot cards. But with the Lovers in reverse, what I'm really hearing is quite a short explanation of why it came in reverse, and very curtly, it's just because like this isn't a choice, is what I'm hearing. So I think that for some of you, this may be like a familial expectation or inheritance that you're okay with, so you're not worried about it. This could be like a business that runs in the family, or a occupation that runs in the family. This could be like through default. You find that for whatever reason in your situation, you're the only person that's available or qualified or like applicable for whatever position or situation it is that we're talking about here. It's hard for me to give you more information than that because, again, this is a general reading, so it's different for all of you. But it seems like in the physical world, it doesn't really feel like there's a choice. It's just that's where the path goes and you're on that path, so that's where you're going. And of course, there's always a choice, but the consequences in not accepting whatever position or taking whatever actions are necessary here or that you see as being necessary, those consequences make it seem like there isn't a choice, because it would be laughable to you to like not accept this offer or opportunity, whatever it is. Okay. We will continue here with your next card. So we have a dragon called Oisin. This is an oracle deck that every card just has dragons on it for the most part. And once again, we're seeing kind of that like muted color palette, and there's some baubles of like different colors around him that are kind of either like blue or earth tones here. One thing about Oisin is he's depicted as like one of the kings of dragons in this deck. That's why he has like quite a proper noun for a name instead of an adjective or description about him. And I think this is just reiterating that whatever you're doing, you're going to be in a commanding position, in a position of power, one where delegation will be good for you. Being kingly will be something that quite a few of you might have to do. And when I say kingly, I don't mean like you're a man in a position of power. Like you can be whatever gender, sex, and or orientation you want to be and have this pile be applicable to you. But it's more like a fair, empowered, strong masculine energy is something that I see you're going to be in when you accept this position. So masculine energy is a lot more action based, whereas feminine energy is generally, this is very generalized here, feminine energy is generally more reflective. And I think that what's going on here, without getting into the sticks and mud of the differences between the masculine and the feminine energies, is that when you first take up this position, I'm hearing that there's just going to be like a lot to do. And for some of you, that might stress you out or feel overwhelming. But ultimately, what you're doing is something that you're very passionate about and you're very happy to do. And you wouldn't have it another way, except for that maybe your task load would be lighter or easier. So I'm hearing as a reminder to you from whoever this is to whoever you are that um, even though it feels like there's a lot to do, you can do it at your own pace on your own time and it'll be okay because you're in the lead. And I'm also hearing a reminder about I had a mentor a long time ago who talked about something he liked to call manufactured timelines and artificial due dates. And what he was talking about, because you see this in the workforce all the time, is that people like to put due dates on things and timelines on things so that things are constantly getting done, which is healthy for a business or anything that is healthier when there's generally change and innovations constantly being made. And for more specificity here, this was a mentor I had while I was working on my PhD in my graduate studies. And this man was talking about how there's always this push to get more research out faster and like to write the next grant application so you have money to do more research. And he kind of just said, like, at a certain point, like, the deadlines stress you out more than they help you. Like, if you wrote the grant application and then you submitted it on not this due date that's like 2 days from now, but the next due date that's 2 months from now, like, yeah, you might get the money later, but it would do you a world of good in terms of serving your mental health and making sure the grant application is done really well so you're more likely to be taken seriously and have a real consideration and a better success rate. Stuff like that. And so it's like, I feel like there's a real call here that as the leader, you have more authority and power to be able to determine what needs to get done more quickly and a tighter deadline is appropriate and when it's okay to take longer to take care of yourself and the others involved, not cause undue stress and actually have things done better and done right. And maybe that's one of the reasons why you're in a position of power now, is because a change was needed and you're now being trusted, and rightfully so, to amend the situation and alleviate a lot of stress and tension and sloppiness. So that's one message I'm getting here. We'll put him, oh, you can't see him very well if I do that. Let me move everything. There we go. We'll put Oisin down here and we shall continue. So your next pile, your next card is hope. And hope is a little bit general here, but I see hope coming from a few different perspectives. I think that you have a lot of hope for the situation, but also a lot of people um, have hope when they see that you're the new leader, the new person in a position of power. And I think that kind of ties back to what we saw earlier with your first Dragon Oracle card here, where it's quite possible that no one else seems worthy or suitable for the position that you're going to be inheriting or have recently been accepted to or entered in, um, simply because nobody else is trusted to handle the situation appropriately as you would and do as good of a job at amending what's been happening up to this point. And for those of you who are entering a new position, I still feel like there's a lot of hope here and a lot of excitement related to the fact that there are, quite simply put, what I'm hearing is there are high hopes for what you'll achieve as a new leader, as a new position head, kind of like a new path maker for other people to be able to follow and look to for guidance and solutions or answers potentially. So it might feel like you're getting infused with hope that your life is going to have this greater purpose that you're really excited about, even though we were already told, like, yes, it does. But I think that this card is also showing you that you're bringing a lot of hope into the world and to others around you in this situation. So I have two other cards here. I have the Swan, as well as the Crocodile. One thing that's interesting about the Swan and the Crocodile is that both of these are water energies, which is more feminine, just like the Queen of Swords here. And they're encouraging a lot of reflection and introspection, but in a healthy way that isn't procrastinating or a form of escapism. And I think it's important that they showed up right under the cocoon stage in the Queen of Swords, because the crocodile is all about like waiting, but not waiting in terms of watching and waiting for your external world to change into what you want it to be. So there's none of this energy of, well, I'll wait for this to get better or this to happen or so and so to talk to me or whatever it is. But instead, this is waiting for yourself to be ready, which is kind of what we saw in the first three cards here. Um, and it's more of, you have moments where you have or will be waiting for internally you to feel ready. So you taking the time to assess, how do I feel? What do I think? What are my ideas? And then when you're ready and you have a plan, you have an action that you want to pursue, that's when you get into the energy of being able to explain that well to other people and give your ideas meaning through being very persuasive to others around you. And I think that's also what's going to help you understand what's worth pursuing now, what's worth waiting, what should we take more time on and shouldn't. So a lot of that energy we talked about with Oisin is reflected in the crocodile. The swan is about reflection, like self-reflection, and unbounded, unbridled, uh, like bottomless creativity. And I think that this isn't creativity for you necessarily what it generally is when people say being creative. Like a lot of people think about being an artist, like producing some kind of visual or written artwork to some degree. I feel like for you, for most of you out there, this is going to be a lot of creative problem solving where you're addressing situations in a way where they haven't been addressed before. And I'm seeing that a lot of you are probably going to be responded with by people saying, like, I never thought about it like that, or I never would have thought about this situation in that way. So there's there's a lot going on here with you being creative but being like a visionary in terms of being able to approach this situation or this position of power, this role, whatever you're in a way that will solve a lot of problems. And for some reason, I'm seeing for some of you, like bring a lot of people together and change a lot of lives in the long run. So we'll look at your last two cards real quick here. So the first card we have is the Rabbit Spirit, and it says, now is a lucky time. The next thing I want to look at is your last Oracle card, which simply says there's always enough. And we'll put that on this side. For you, I'm getting that you feel lucky for having the opportunity to be in this position. As we started out the reading, there was a lot of messages about how this is going to help fulfill a life purpose. It's going to be very like uplifting, motivating, fulfilling, exciting for you. With the energy of there is always enough, I have a feeling you're going to see issues in the physical world in a way that other people don't. And quite possibly that's part of why you're able to be so creative because you're approaching the situations from a state of mind or lens that others don't, won't, or simply don't have the capacity to be able to see it through. So you can see the same situations and things in a different way. It's kind of like how if everybody's wearing sunglasses and you're wearing red tinted shades, even though you're seeing the same objects, different objects will pop out to you and look different. And I think with there's always enough, um, for those of you who are inheriting a position or taking over a position that wasn't handled well before you, I see that the previous leaders in those positions approached their lives in general. So, this included their work and the decisions they made in their positions from a place of lack. And that led to a lot of poor decisions that hurt a lot of people because they were approaching everything from fear of not having enough or running out. And it led to a lot of selfishness where these leaders were making decisions that were abusing their power to benefit only them. But you're going to see just how much there is to kind of go around. And to you, it won't necessarily feel like the same scary decisions or costs. So you'll feel, as we talked about here, you'll feel a lot less pressured to do things in certain ways or make as hasty or flippant of decisions or decisions that only benefit you. And you'll be like a lot more generous and you'll inspire like a lot more hope in other people. And I think you're going to see like a lot more fortune surrounding you and the others that you're directly impacting because of this. So I guess we can get into a little bit about specific questions or other energies real quick, just to wrap up this reading. Because we have our 2 tarot card decks off to the side here. And I'm really curious as to why you wanted 2 tarot card decks. Something that I haven't said yet, but I've wanted to mention for a minute now, was that the number 2 has been like really significant for your reading. So for example, you got 2 of each types of significator cards. And then you wanted 2 tarot card decks. And then your crystal for your pile was 2 different stones that are adhered together. And the lover's card has 2 people on it. There's a lot about twos here and things coming in pairs. Like you have a queen, or you have a king, and you have a queen. Um, and I'm curious as to why the number 2 is so important for you right now. The number 2 is a lot about choices. So that could be part of it, even though the lover's card said, like, this position or inheriting this position, coming into this position of power doesn't really even feel like a choice for you. It's just something you have to do or something you're going to do without questioning it. But I feel like you're definitely going to make a lot of choices here. So maybe another person or like a partner will be involved that will help you a lot. I'm really not sure. But maybe that's what the tarot cards are for. So we already got one. But we'll leave it open and we'll just see if there is any extra information your tarot cards would like to give you on this situation. I'm hearing for some of you, you want me to ask like what specifically is going on, like what position you're getting, or back of the deck is the Two of Wands. We'll keep that. What position you're getting, or why you're getting it now, or like specifically what's going on, or for you who aren't going into a position that you would consider necessarily a position of like power or leadership, like what yours is. And the problem is that this is a general reading, so I can't necessarily ask like what a specific position is for you and get a definitive answer, because I don't know how to read the energies of cards in a way to where I can parse out. For some of you, it's A, for some of you, it's B, and for some of you, it's C. All I'll see is in the energies the similarities between A, B, and C. So some of you are going into politics, some of you are going into teaching and inventions, and some of you are going into developing like a new craft or a new like style of art, or teaching. I can't remember if I said teaching. What I'll see is that the energies between the three can be similar. Like whether you're teaching, you're an entrepreneur pitching ideas to new people, you're an inventor who's explaining what parts they need manufactured for their new product. or you're a politician who's going to be doing like lively debates soon to see if they get reelected, all of you are going to be in an energy of being like very eloquent and outspoken and persuasive with your words, and that'll show up as like a Queen of Swords, for example. So specifics are going to be very, very hard for me. I'll see if I get any and I'll point them out if I do, but I don't know if that's something I'm going to be able to do for you. And then on the back of this deck we have the Seven of Swords. But what you'll see here is he's carrying, put it up here so you can see it. He's carrying 5 of the swords, and then there's 2 still in the ground, and he's looking at them. So I don't know what it is about you and the number 2. But let's look at your other stained glass tarot cards before we unpack everything. So we have the Knight of Pentacles. And when I was flipping over these cards and talking about the number 2, I did hear like I carried myself here on my own 2 legs. And with the Knight of Pentacles, even though he's on a horse, I think that a very undersized horse. I think that that is pretty descriptive because the Knight of Pentacles, like all the knights, they're always in motion, moving forward towards what they're pursuing. But the Knight of Pentacles is like the most steady of all the knights. Like he might not be going as fast as the other knights, but he is inevitable. And he's sure about what he's doing and what is going to be coming to him. And so I think for you, there's a lot to do with this energy of just like relentlessly, is what I'm hearing, like moving forward. And I think that that is going to be really important as a very influential person who a lot of people will like the changes, and there will always be people who don't enjoy what you're doing. And that comes with the territory of being liked. You can't be liked without someone else not having that same preference and disliking you. So I feel like your ability to be relentless and move forward regardless is going to be really helpful in not stalling or not sliding into the same issues that people in similar positions or the same position as you beforehand had, where they weren't really serving anyone but themselves. Like being relentless is going to help you not get like bullied into that or change your ways for not the best reasons. So your other card here is the Knight of Cups. So we have another knight to double up on the fact that like you're always moving forward, you're always pursuing what's next and what's important to you. The Knight of Cups has a different flavor to it, where instead of maybe like earthly desires or being like as slow as the Knight of Pentacles, the Knight of Cups is in the suit of emotions and depth within oneself. And one thing I'm hearing is the reminder that like emotions is a conjunction of energy and motion. Because for us, emotions are just that. They're energies that we feel in a variety of different flavors, I guess you could call it. And what I'm hearing from this Knight of Cups is that you're going to be moving through a lot of hard decisions in emotions that allow you to make the best decisions that help the most people. And so I think that your intuition and your heart, your ability to wait until you've weighed your options and reflected things appropriately and approach the situation with empathy, clarity, and surety is going to be really, really helpful for you. And part of that is simply just in having the emotional awareness to understand when you're confident in an idea and when you're rushing because you feel the need to rush things, which we kind of talked about. So I think all of that is really encouraging to hear, because what I see when I see these cards is that you're capable of handling this position with grace and gratitude and finesse. And I hear that that's something that anyone else who's tried to do this recently has failed to be able to do, simply because of how daunting and intimidating and stressful and important a position like this is. So you're a very big person, very big, big, special, strong character. And with the Two of Wands here, again, we're going to see choices come up, of course. But with the Two of Wands here, the scope of making decisions is more around reflecting energies of planning and making good choices, which we've talked about a lot. So this is a reiteration of a lot of the energies that you're going to be in. And with the Wheel card under it, I feel like this is going to be a cycle for you where you take the time to make sure you're making the right decision, and then you go make that decision, and then you reflect and revise and continue. And so some might be frustrated with the fact that everything isn't getting done all at once. And it's like you have the ability with the Queen of Wands here and the power with being the king of your situation to be able to address those concerns with authority, in the sense of being able to put a hard stop to it and put your foot down and calmly and clearly explain to people, like, we're taking longer because not giving each problem appropriate attention and appropriately addressing it and resolving it is what all of this mess was about anyway. So again, it's going to be different for all of you. And for those of you who aren't in a position of leadership, because I mentioned you once or twice, I know you're in here. Hi. Um, what you're doing is you're kind of being your own leader and pioneering whatever it is that you're doing that you're passionate about. And part of why you're pioneering it is because no one else has done this in a way that you found satisfactory or inspirational or appropriate. And so you're going to feel pressured to produce results faster, perhaps for monetary reasons, for prestige reasons, for popularity. So for those of you who are like doing entrepreneurial things, starting your own business, trying to become a self-sufficient artist, something like that, you might feel pressured to get more pieces of work or products or results out into the public eye, into the world, or into your community that's concerned with this quicker, to make a name for yourself so that you can be stable, because that'll allow you to feel relaxed and safe in your situation. You want to build a foundation that you can work up from and feel like you can take care of yourself, and this is a profession that is appropriate for you if this does turn into a profession. But rushing into doing things will make your work feel a lot more like all this work that you weren't proud of to begin with. Or you'll find later there are mistakes and things that you regret if you get to a point where you pump out a lot of stuff so that you feel stable enough. You chose quality over quantity, or quantity over quality in the beginning. And then later, when you start feeling like you can choose quality, you're going to be embarrassed about the quantity, and you might have to do a lot of work to change your perception in the public eye, almost like rebranding. And so there's a reassurance here from your higher self, your future self, that even though it feels like you need to rush because things are scary right now, they're not set in stone. It's better to set it the right way because going back and editing and fixing mistakes will take a lot more time and effort and resources, and it will lead to doubts from yourself and others that you yourself are stable and a master of this new craft, because someone who's sure of their ways and is a master wouldn't need to fix things to such a great extent that you would potentially do if you did things sloppily and what you'll later consider the wrong way. So, doing it the way that like actually fulfills you and makes you happy to begin with will be uh, much more beneficial to you, and it'll actually have you be fulfilled. Like, you don't want this to feel like another job, another thing you go through the motions for, another thing that you do for reasons outside of your life's purpose. And if you rush things, that's kind of what it's going to feel like. It's just another stressful thing instead of something that you're really proud of and that you're proud that you did the way that you did it. So, we'll move on here. I did get one more download that I think is really important because it's being stressed very hard. And I think it's from the universe or spirit, whatever you want to call it, where if you're doing something that truly fulfills you and you feel like it's your life purpose, it brings you like bliss, joy, and all that, the universe will find ways to allow you to continue doing that. As long as you're not like, harming other people and stuff when you do it. So you're being called to, if you find yourself worrying about that, like remember that message and hold that belief very near and dear to you, and like actually believe it. Don't just say it to yourself. Um, because even if things feel scary, like the universe will find a way to deliver so that you can continue doing what is really important for you, even if it's starting off small and getting bigger later. So we have 3 more cards here that we'll take a look at. We have the Knight of Cups again. And I think this is part of why I was called to use 2 tarot decks for you, so that duplicate cards were possible, because there's something really important about things showing up in pairs or twos for you. So 2 Knight of Cups is like really important for whatever reason. And then your last 2 cards here, we have the 5 of Swords. And for some reason I heard like 7 minus the 2 is 5. So in a way, it's like you're getting this reiteration of 5 swords more than once. And once again, in both pictures, there are 2 swords that the figures aren't interacting with. So he has 2 on the ground, he has 2 behind him. And in both cases, the figures are kind of looking in the direction of the swords that they're not interacting with. I think for some of you, these might be people. 2 people, 2 figures. Maybe they're the people that you see, or parties, significant parties that you see haven't done justice with whatever you're fixing. Maybe they're people that are putting you in the position of power. Maybe they're people or parties that are going to help you out with this, and they'll be like part of a group that's really important for you. But there's something about 2 external entities to you that are like significant here. And since this is a general reading, I'm going to leave it up to you to unpack that with however it resonates with you. And the last card we have here is 14, which is Temperance. So I think Temperance goes back to reiterating the message we got in the beginning that's under the Knight cards here, and what the Cocoon card talked about a little bit with, and I think the message is twofold. There we go with twos again. with you were refining yourself to a point where you could handle this position. And I think now we know you could handle this position and do like a good job with it. Something that like you're proud of that impacts the world and yourself positively. But I think also you're refining this is kind of a complicated message because we don't have good words for it in the human languages I'm hearing. So let me do my best here. You're refining the outcomes that can come from someone being in a position like this. So you're reinventing or redefining what good is possible to come from this, what benefits other people can have, what hopes they can have, what happiness they can derive from it. And this isn't just you, this is other people, the other surrounding parties. And I think that this is going to be really profound for not just you, but for a lot of people that trust you. And I think a lot of people are going to feel lucky that not necessarily that they know you on a personal level, but that you're impacting their lives in the way that you are. And I'm starting to tear up because, like, for a lot of you, I'm hearing, like, yes, this is what I wanted. And you've been wanting it so deeply for so long, the Knight of Cups here, that even though you felt like you didn't have it or you didn't feel like you knew what you wanted, on a soul level, you were always moving towards it. Like, I hear that all these events that happened in your life, tragic, happy, mundane, or otherwise, were there to get yourself ready in this lifetime in a position to where you can now perform the way that you want to in the aspects that you want to really profoundly impact the world for the better. And I hear that these changes will carry on like long after you've left this world, which is also part of your intentions. So some of you might be impacting like culture or pop culture in a way to where it'll always be there, you know? It's kind of like how after people started developing the style of jazz, even though the original creators or pioneers of that style are long gone, jazz still has significant influences on not just other new artists that still perform jazz and create new works of art or music from that, but it does profoundly impact like other parts of cultures, like how people dress and um, different like genres of music, different art styles. You can find it in video games. Like the influences of it go much farther, and they stay there even if they do get like diluted um or mixed with other things. And I feel like whatever the heck it is that you're doing, even though you may or may not realize it or forget it after you see this message, is that like your impacts are much more profound and long lasting than you think they're going to be, and that you will probably ever actually realize in this lifetime. But regardless, you're going to be like very proud of yourself if you slow down and you do things the way that you want to and you do it the right way. And you do things, within reason and with responsibility. But I'm not hearing any worry from that, from like your higher self or the universe or anything. The other thing I want to say, and this is kind of an odd message, so bear with me. The Seven of Swords, this figure's picking up 5 swords and leaving 2 behind. In the Five of Swords, he picked up 3 swords and he's still leaving 2. And one thing I'm hearing is kind of this like chronological image of dissemination. Like You're breaking things down. And one thing about the odd numbers is they're usually numbers symbolized with change because inherently they feel less stable than the even numbers. Like two legs or four legs feels a lot more stable than three. And so one thing I'm hearing here is that you're breaking down what's unstable because it inherently was fashioned or built or maintained wrongly, and you're leaving behind something that's very stable and will, I'm hearing, like last the test of time. And you're kind of doing that over and over again, where you're taking these large problems and you're making them smaller and you're making them smaller and you're making them smaller, and you're not using more than what you need when you fix these issues, which I think is leading to more abundance here. So I think for a lot of you, that could mean a lot of different things. But I think for a lot of you, you're going to find a way to deal with these issues more gracefully and eloquently. So by not taking more than you need or using more than you need, I'm kind of seeing that, like, you won't use as much time or resources, like wealth, manpower, hours, whatever it is, um, to do whatever it is that needs to be done or addressed in the way that you are. And the last message I'm getting just from the number of swords symbolization is that the Queen of Swords is only really wielding one sword here. So it's kind of like you went from 7 to 5. 3 isn't here, but then eventually down to 1, leaving 2 behind each time, leaving something stable behind each time. And it's not like you're going to be losing anything. It's more like the message I'm getting is that you don't need as much junk or help or people in your ear to produce better results than anyone else ever could, because you're kind of like an expert in this. You're like a natural master or like a prodigy or something, and that comes a lot from like your creativity and your ability to unpack the situation and understand what's the best solution without like rushing into it. And so I think like part of why you feel like there's always enough is because the amount of wasted time, resources, whatever it was, these other people are doing to try to do something is almost like laughably incompetent to you, and you don't need as much as like what all these other people have been holding. And what that does is that allows you to have more time, money, whatever it is, to enjoy your life and accomplish other things. So, with that said, I believe that is all I have for you at this point. And I want to thank you for listening. And I want to thank you one more time for choosing me as your reader. It means a lot. I'm curious about your situation. So, if you want to leave a comment in the video, letting me know like what's going on, or just something general, like you're happy and you're doing what you really want to do, or leave some support for other pile ones, feel free to do so. If you want to keep things more private but you still want to talk, or let me know what's going on, you can email us. Our email is in the video description. And if you're interested in any of the crystals shown in this reading, you can find them on our online store, also linked in the description. Lastly, of the shameless plugs, is if you love the tarot card readings and you want little mini tarot card readings that'll only take you like, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes, I'm done moving now, so I'm going to be uploading quite more often, frequently again. If you would like to follow us on Instagram for daily mini tarot card readings, we're getting that started back up this week. So our Instagram will be in the video description, but it's just at Lunatic Click on Instagram. And I will see you next time in a brand new reading. Welcome, my dears, to pile number 2. So if you chose your pile based on your crystal, then you chose your pile with the raw rose quartz that the camera won't focus on. There you go, raw rose quartz. We'll put it over here. Yes, that works. If you chose your pile with the tarot cards, then you picked the Shadowscape Tarot. And just like we always do, I'm going to put that aside. And we'll use it for some specific questions or details later on, depending on how the reading goes. So this pile is mostly oracle cards, and these are significator cards. They're going to give us a lot of information about the overall energy you'll be in or the energies you'll be surrounded by, and that's what I will use to get the majority of the information to start off with. So without further ado, thank you for picking me as your tarot card reader for this reading. And the first card we have is Free Will. I think we'll start by putting cards maybe over here, and then we'll go this way. So we'll put that there. The next card we have is Rainbow. Maybe we'll keep it next to each other. A little bit of space, never hurt nobody. And then, these are the only tarot cards in the pile, the rest are oracles. We have the Three of Swords in reverse. And next, we have the Knight of Cups, which I think we'll put here. All right. I actually want to unpack a couple more cards before we talk about things. I feel like they might help us out with this. So next we have Merlin. I know it's like an odd name drop, but this comes from a oracle deck that's like all about dragons and stuff. Merlin is more about, it's like a master of magic, and I think this deck talks about like using magic that has to do with like lightning specifically, but it's more about like recognizing the magic you have within and like the mastery of magic that you have. So for people, we're not talking about actually throwing fireballs, unless you can do that, you know, that's cool. I wouldn't know. But this is more about maybe like manifesting or changing your surroundings, growing and adapting, finding strength within that like you didn't recognize you had before. And I think that has a lot to do with your situation, potentially, with the Three of Swords in reverse and the free will card here. I don't want to speak on it yet. I want to get like a couple more cards out, bits of information out before we talk about things. But this energy might be a little bit sad, a little bit heavy. And I think there's some stuff that, if this pile resonates with you, you're not recognizing about yourself or your surroundings. So we'll continue. So next we have self-worth, and we shall put it right next to Merlin, which like actually weirdly makes sense. We have one more dragon oracle card, so I do want to move them down. I say that it makes sense because what it feels like is going on here potentially is like somehow you're in a situation that's like has been hurting you or keeping you trapped in some way. But what you don't realize is that like you're really and powerful on like a spiritual level. And you don't necessarily recognize it or your self-worth for that matter. And so the situation isn't necessarily keeping you trapped, and you're not purposely keeping you trapped, but it kind of feels like you're not recognizing how like worthy and valuable and powerful you are to escape some situation that's like keeping you sad or weighing you down in some way. So I want to look at your last card here. Your last card is Scars. And I think that this helps define that situation a little bit better. Perhaps some of you have some old wounds that are not helping you like grow or move on from this situation. Perhaps some of you feel like this situation is giving you scars because it's not very pleasant for you. I want to look at the rest of your oracle cards here, and then we'll jump in to some more unpacking. So we have the bee. Maybe we'll put him here. That's not horrible. Maybe we can move everything up just a smidgen so that he fits. Yes, excellent. Okay, we have the bee. Next we have the lion. Okay. Originally I had the bee here. Maybe I'll keep it there. Okay. And your very last card. It's the pig spirit, and it says use your mind wisely. Maybe we'll put him here. How about over there? That works for me, so hopefully it works for you. So I feel like your mind is keeping you caged from something. I feel like maybe there's something painful that happened that gave you scars. Because the Three of Swords can be about like heartbreak and stuff too. And your reaction was from it was to, I don't want to say develop coping mechanisms. This is kind of a hard message. I don't think it's a message people like hearing very often. So if this resonates, I hope that this is a good sign for you that you're like moving forward from this. Because I do all these readings with the intention that if it resonates with you, it will be like very helpful for you, and now is the right time for you to hear it. But it, your energy looks like something painful or traumatic happened. It affected you. And rather than healing from your scars, I'm hearing you developed a lifestyle or mannerisms. The lifestyle is more prominent that shields you from having to deal with it in a way to where you can just put that thing, that event, that fear, whatever it is, behind you. Just like grow from it, move on, be done with it. And I'm kind of hearing that perhaps with self worth here in Merlin, you're not giving yourself enough credit in understanding that you have the capacity to move past whatever situation it is. Like you can step outside the cage if you want to. There's a gap in the bars right there. Um, but for some reason, probably because it's painful to address said situation or scar or issue and move past it, you choose not to. And I'm hearing for some of you, it's because you don't think you can. I'm hearing for others of you, you're putting it off, like now isn't the right time. I'll do it later, not right now. I'm busy. And it's interesting because when I was pulling cards for this pile, um, whenever I would like ask for another card for this pile, I would hear like, no, that's not my card. I don't want it. You don't need to pull another card from me. Like, I'm okay. And it's interesting because I do these readings, like I said, with the intention that this is going to resonate with somebody when they need to hear it and it's going to be helpful for them. So, this energy of avoidance is like odd to me because if you're in an energy of such harsh avoidance, I don't quite understand how you would be receptive to this message. But maybe this message will help break apart some of that avoidance and be like a good step in giving you support from yourself and your spirit guides and the universe to help you move forward. So I think with use your mind wisely, there's a call to self reflect and understand when you're going through negative thought patterns, like being really hard on yourself in an unfair way that's perpetuating or holding on to like whatever traumatic experience or scars you have, and recognizing like what is healthy and supportive for you. Like I'm hearing a lot of just like take care of yourself the way you deserve to be taken care of. I also think with the heart and the Knight of Cups, for a lot of you, this could be like a relationship that ended poorly or like a really sour relationship. One where it took a while to sour. And at first, like, you really cared for this person, and hopefully they really cared for you, or you thought they did. Um, and that's why whatever negative exchanges happened between you, it cut really deep because it hurts more when you get harsh criticisms or insults, or like experience cruelties from the hand of someone that you like regard really highly or you really like. So I think for some of you this was a relationship that ended up like treating you very poorly, and because that was like really hard for you and potentially is still really fresh for some of you, it's difficult to see. I'm hearing to see why you would want to move on which I might need more details on because I don't think that, like, moving past this, moving on, it's very different than needing to jump right into another relationship or putting yourself in a position where you meet a lot of new people or new friends if that makes you uncomfortable and you don't want it, you know? Like, moving on doesn't really mean you have to do anything besides recognize that, like, if you didn't deserve it, you didn't deserve it and it's not your fault. Or if it is your fault, recognizing like you made a mistake and you don't want to make that mistake again, so you're just not going to. And like you grew from that experience in a way that's really important. Or just because someone treats you very poorly doesn't mean that you deserve it. And I think with the information I'm getting about why you maybe don't want to move on is because whatever was said to you that was like really vicious and cut you really deeply, was really cruel, you kind of internalized. And I think for a decent amount of you in this pile, uh, you feel a lot like what their words were, what they told you about yourself was true because you held them in high regards or you liked or loved them. And you don't see them as being someone who would be that harsh or that cruel if it wasn't true. So now you feel like it's your responsibility to perpetuate that, to remind yourself about how, I don't agree with this, but quote, like how horrible you are because you actually are that horrible. And if you forget that fact, then other people will be subjected to you. And I can tell you right now, I have no idea what they said to you because this is a general reading. So the specifics are a little beyond my scope. But what I can tell you is that for most of you in this pile, I think it's absolute bullshit. And I think that they were lashing out. And it could be for multiple reasons. It could be that they were self conceited to the point where pushing the blame onto you instead of them was the only way that they could save themselves from getting their ego bruised. But like they'll never be happy as long as they do that because deep down they know they're the problem. It's just a coping mechanism. I think that for some of you, they said that unfairly because they didn't understand what your true intentions were, what the situation was, or who you actually were. And that could be for like a plethora of reasons, miscommunication, other people meddling. I'm hearing for some of you, they were just like so in their own heads and narcissistic, or those that didn't have narcissistic tendencies. Um, there are some that were just paranoid and always expected the worst out of others. So they would like look for reasons to figure out why you were horrible. And this could also stem from insecurities because if you genuinely were like a nice, caring person that you are, and you did the things that you did, it actually messed with their worldview. It challenged it, and they weren't ready to accept that there are just well meaning, well intentioned, good people out there. So they had to convince themselves that you didn't have pure intentions, and then they lashed out at you because they were frustrated that you wouldn't just admit that. And it's like, why would you? It's not true, it's their own problem. And then the last party of you, which I think is relatively small, um, or non existent, but I would rather say relatively small because this is a timeless reading and maybe someone will find it later that this applies to. But for those of you who did something that you actually regret, I think that's probably the energy that has the situation that has the most avoidance tied to it. And it's okay to regret things, it's okay to mess up. Um, just like the people in this pile who aren't here because they regret their choices, or their actions at the time. Doesn't like they're gonna heal and move on from this. And if they're seeing this reading, a lot of them already are. So if you did mess up and you regret how you treated someone or something, that someone or something will recover, they'll move on. And so there's no reason you can't as well. Like, we don't come here to be perfect. We don't expect to never make mistakes. If anyone ever expects you to never make a mistake, like, they have their own problems. And that's really unfair to expect of anybody. And so I think that not allowing yourself to heal by forgiving yourself for what happened and moving on and deciding to be a different, bigger, better person by choosing to consciously not purposely do whatever it is that you did again. I think that not allowing yourself to do that is more harmful to you than going through the pain of accepting that you did something that hurt somebody else and you feel bad about it. Um, and I think that it's really courageous to be able to admit to ourselves that, like, we feel bad about something that we did, because nobody likes to feel bad about what they did, especially if it was like something we would consider a very big deal or a very large mistake. But if we don't accept that and move on, then we'll never truly be in a position to where we don't do that again. And I think that you owe it to yourself and others around you, whether that be like past, present, or future, to put yourself in a position to where you can be sure that you're not going to choose to do that again. So I kind of want to talk about the bee and the lion cards here. So the bee energy is like very joyous and kind of cute. It's like busy, but the happy kind of busy, like bustling and bumbling around. Uh, and they're very like into their work, passionate about their work, which inspires a lot of creativity. They like to put their spin on things. And interestingly enough, like, they work well with others because others find them a joy to be around. And I feel like I'm getting a couple very muddled mixed messages here. So take whichever one or ones resonate and just leave the rest. Ignore me if you see fit. But the bee, some of the messages I'm getting here is for some of you, you feel like at the moment people find you to be a joy to be around, in which case I'm hearing you're sorely mistaken. And I don't think it's that people like don't like you right now. Um, but I think it's more that there's a lot more joy to be had interacting with you after you do some healing and you kind of go back to embracing like a real you again. Because I feel like a lot of your actions are based on like people pleasing or compensation so that you don't go through like a similar really hard painful experience or interaction with somebody else again. And a lot of people pleasing and stuff, a lot of actions or energies spent to make sure other people are happy can make those other people happy when you're around you. But it can also make people like uncomfortable because they realize like you're trying too hard to make sure everyone's okay. And for people who are well balanced, it makes them feel weird because there's too much attention being spent on serving others. And so they recognize like you're not necessarily like putting a lot of energy into doing what you want to do or like saying what you would otherwise want to say if you weren't in the energy of trying to like please others around you. And so for those who are more keen or astute to this and more well balanced, like it they would be happier being around you if you were still like, empathetic and concerned about others, but you also prioritized making sure like you were taken care of and you're happy. And it's okay if like someone doesn't like you. um, I think that that's really hard for a lot of people to genuinely accept and feel okay with and not have it like be uncomfortable or damage their self-esteem, especially when you've gone through something where somebody like didn't like you or something about you, whether or not that was your fault. And said some harsh things to you. Like it can be hard to go, yeah, sure, it's fine if someone doesn't like me. Like I just went through all this because someone didn't like me. And I think that's what like a real part of this healing is understanding that like there are always going to be moments where someone doesn't like you. And you can't be likable without someone else also disliking you or there being an opportunity for someone to dislike you. Um, I'm trying to think of like a good example to explain that, but essentially it's because everyone has preferences and everybody's preferences are different, which isn't a bad thing, but it simply means if you're somebody's preference, someone is more inclined to like you will be someone else's dislike. Um, the only way to not have people dislike you is to elicit no reaction from anybody and be totally neutral. And we're not hotel lobby art. We're not designed to just look kind of pleasant and elicit literally no reaction from anybody. Okay, we're not elevator music, even though I know people have opinions on elevator music. But hopefully hopefully you get what I'm saying. Like we are designed to be powerful beings, and powerful beings elicit reactions from others around them, and that's okay. And if someone was terrible to you because they didn't understand you or they had their own beef, like I'm assuming they're not really like a big part of your life anymore. And like good for you, screw them. They got their own stuff to work through, and just because they have their own stuff to work through doesn't mean that you should continue to punish yourself for that. And if you did mess up, then like that's just as okay. What's not okay is not forgiving yourself and not moving on and being in a position where you might make similar mistakes again and feel even worse about it. Um, because you deserve better than that. You deserve to be happy. And, I think there are a lot of really charismatic, nice people out there that will tell you in their past they were terrible to a lot of people. Like I have friends now that I wouldn't have been friends with in elementary school because they were bullies. And it's like they're a very different person now that they're in their 30s and they've grown a lot and gone through some pretty harsh experiences and repercussions to get there. But they did it and they're better on the other side because they didn't stunt themselves and choose to keep themselves in the position of being the elementary school bully and regretting it. They have defined themselves and redefined themselves multiple times to move on from that. Like they are not the same person they were 10 years ago. And there's a reason for that, and it's a good thing. And it's like you can do that too. Only it doesn't have to be 10 years ago. You can decide, like, anytime you want to not be the same person that you were before. Like, you can be a different person from a year ago, a day ago, or a second ago. It really just decides on when you decide to move on and how to move on. And I think that brings us to the lion card, where the lion card is a representation of fire energy. And the lion card is, at least in this oracle deck, one of the masters of fire energy. So they embody strength. Usually on the tarot cards, there's, at least for the classical ones, there's something about like a lion in there to represent strength or power of strength. And in this oracle deck, it's not just about applications of strength or embodiment of strength, it's also about not wasting resources or time, not having to worry about a lot of things because they understand that they have everything handled. And I think that with that comes a lot of inner peace and a lot of patience, not just for self, but for others and for the world around you. And for some of you, I feel like there's a real call here to sometime in the next couple weeks, like go inwards and practice patience for the people around you. Like, I feel like some of you can get over this situation where another person didn't treat you very well for faults that weren't your own. They were just agitated based on like their own issues or misconceptions of you or the world that they applied to you unfairly, where you can get over it by just being patient with them. And that doesn't mean like you have to subject yourself to them anymore if you don't want to, or like forgive them or anything. But you can just say like I didn't ask for this to happen. I didn't know they were going to do that. But I don't see myself that way and I don't believe it's true. And like just because they said it's true doesn't mean that they're right. And if they want to act that way, that's fine. But I'm going to let all of that go and move on. And so in that way you can be patient for them by just saying like okay, like if that's what you're going to do then go do it, but it doesn't affect me and I don't have to take it to heart and like I don't have to try to change your mind because it's not worth it for me if you feel that way. And like in that way, the patience is being practiced to where you don't really feel the need to do anything. And it's not the same as neutrality or apathy. It's just understanding that some situations and some people aren't worth the effort to try to salvage or get like a happy outcome from, because sometimes it's just impossible for that situation. And that's okay. And you can just like choose to move on and not deal with it if you don't want to. And for those of you who feel like maybe you did a mistake or you could have handled things different, or now you're frustrated because you haven't been kind to yourself, like this is another good time with the lion to like practice patience. And because this is energies that like you're moving through, I see that in the future, like you probably will be practicing this patience and healing and like moving on. And I think that's a really optimistic, positive way to see the situation, as like it's resolving as long as you choose to want to do the healing. And I don't have a time frame on like how fast that's going to go. And I think that's okay because I don't want to put undue stress on some of you who are like, "Oh, I should have healed already, or I should be doing this. I should get over this faster because it shouldn't mean that much and I just want to be done with it," because that can put undue stress on you in terms of trying to give yourself a timeline. And I don't think that that is fair because it takes as long as it takes, and however long it takes is right for you, okay? So that's my 2 cents from your spirit guides on the matter. I know there's one card we didn't talk about. It's right here with the rainbow. It's number 28. And I know the 28 is a very different number from 8, but the 8 part makes me think of the lion again. With the rainbow card, when I look at it, I just hear like cut through the darkness. And I think with it being next to free will and under the pig, there's a real call to like unleash like actual your true spirit and self and emotions. Just experience them for as long as they need to be experienced and then move on. Like don't hold on to stuff unnecessarily. Don't avoid bad feelings just because they don't feel good to be in them. Like process everything that's maybe been like held within and then move on. And you'll start to feel better. Like the environment around you will start to lighten up instead of being just like this blackness of kind of feeling lost, because emotions are how we spiritually like navigate through the world. They're kind of our compass to understand what we want to do next. Like those are our passions and our callings and things that make us feel like fulfilled and joyful. And the negative emotions we have are emotions we have that steer us away from paths that do the opposite, that don't make us feel good, that don't fulfill us or bring us like bliss or abundance. And that's part of what regret is. That's part of what like sorrow and anger are. And so by experiencing all of those emotions and letting them out again, you'll be able to process new emotions to new situations better and keep yourself from getting wrapped up in a cycle where like this might happen again. So with that, I think we will grab some tarot cards. I'm not really sure what I want to ask, so I'm just going to unpack some more messages I've been hearing while I shuffle. And for those of you who were like in a relationship or friendship or had a family member or someone close to or something that did this, I think that going through this healing work will help you from getting wrapped up with people that have like similar dysfunctions or personalities or like skewed ways of viewing the world is probably a nicer way to say it than dysfunctions. But I think some of your spirit guides are spicy about this topic. Where like you'll break the cycle of getting entwined and wrapped up with these kind of people again. So healing is actually like a good uh, mechanism to it's a much better way of avoiding these types of people than like trying to shelter yourself from them by like denying feeling certain emotions and like grieving completely, even though grieving is one of the hardest things you can do. It is, I promise you, when you come out the other side, you'll actually feel better and it will be well worth it. So that's where we are. And I'm wishing you nothing but the best luck moving forward with this. And I'm sending you a big virtual hug. So we'll keep going here. We got 2 cards. I'm wondering if we're gonna get any more, or if that's kind of it. I'm kind of hearing for some of you, like, taking like a sigh of relief. Because these are readings from one new moon to the next, if you're watching this when it's released, or just the next like 2 to 3 weeks for you if you're watching it later. I'm seeing that like a lot of you are gonna start taking steps towards healing, and you're just gonna understand how much better it feels to not have all these emotions like bottled up under you and just sitting on them like a cork on a volcano over here, ready to get launched and scared about it. I just see this reading as actually being like really optimistic because you're moving on from something really hard in like a really empowered and beautiful way. And you can't really ask for something much better, can you? So let's see what your cards are. We didn't get that many. Maybe we'll ask a more specific question in a second. I got the 10 of Cups on the back of the deck. And the 10 of Cups is the card of like Disneyland fairy tale dreams coming true. Like just emotional fulfillment on a level like nothing else, you know, pure bliss, feeling actually satisfied and joyful, fulfilled, loved, all those great emotions we strive to feel in our lifetime. So I think with that being on the back of the deck, that's kind of symbolic because it's like after you get through all the rest of the cards, you would find this one. Like after you do this healing work that you're probably some of you are already starting to do, um, you'll feel this way afterwards. And so it's like a beautiful end to a rough little situation or cycle. And I don't want to use little in like a belittling way, but you know, that's what your spirit guide used, so I said it. So don't take that the wrong way, please. For some of you, this is like actually a really big, traumatic, horrible deal. So right here we have, hello, focus please. It doesn't want to. Okay, hold on. We have the 7 of Swords in reverse. And the 7 of Swords is a lot about deceit. I see with this card being in reverse, this is a lot of internal deceit, like self-deceit. And I think with it being over the 3 of Swords, there's a really big reiteration here that you've been painting yourself long after whatever painful situation you went through was by not allowing yourself to heal and instead perpetuating it by saying like, oh, I deserve this, I deserve these guys, I deserve to feel bad, like I'm a bad person. And we already talked about how like none of that's really true unless you want it to be, but because it feels bad to say that about yourself, I don't think you want it to be true. So it's not, and it doesn't have to be, and it won't be, and I refuse to accept your arguments to the otherwise, okay? I'm on your side, and so are your spirit guides, and like we're not taking that answer. So I'm gonna ignore you if you feel that way, and we're gonna move on. So here's the 8 of Swords for you as your second card, and then I'll go ahead and flip your third card, and then we'll talk about them together, I guess. So here we have the Empress, big energy over self-worth, and then we have the Eight of Swords over Merlin, which I think is actually weirdly important. Or I shouldn't say weirdly, but it's always crazy when the cards line up like that. So the Eight of Swords talks a lot about how you're in a horrible situation, but it's not a situation you couldn't get out of if you wanted to. However, you perceive yourself as stuck. And usually this perception is like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So it's a lot of energies about like you decided you can't get out of the situation, so you just don't try. But if you tried, you could, with very little or no effort, get out of the situation. Like it's not tricky to leave it, you just don't want to, or you don't want to see that you can, so you don't. And I think that's a lot of what like the free will card was over here that we talked about, and the energy in like the reverse Three of Swords we talked about, where you've been denying healing and self-perpetuating this because on some level or another you think it's better if you do self-perpetuate it or you just don't want to feel the emotions of fully grieving the situation because grief feels bad. And so this is just like another reaffirmation of what we've been talking about. But I think the specifics of it being over the Merlin card is talking about how one of the ways that, or one of the aspects of you that will help you heal and move past the situation is understanding like how powerful you are and that you have the ability and the capacity to, if you need to, like take a hard look at yourself and like critically assess whether or not what was said about you is true or will be true moving forward or both. And you have the magic within you to change the ways that you want to or need to be fulfilled and happy moving forward and keeping this from becoming a little cycle. So for some of you, that would be changing yourself so you don't regret who you are anymore and you don't make the same actions that would cause you to regret your actions again. For some of you, that's changing your ways of thinking about yourself so you're not self-perpetuating things that are inherently like not true about you, and understanding that just because someone else thinks something of you doesn't mean that they're correct or true, even remotely. So there's a lot of magic over the power of your own mind, and your mind is very powerful. So use it well. Just like it says, use your mind wisely over here in the Pig Spirit card. And the last card here is the Empress, which I really like seeing over self-worth, because the Empress talks about, doesn't talk about, geez, it shows and reflects the energy of creation. And in this case, I feel like there's a lot of creation happening towards creating a new, happier, better you in a very masterful way, in a way that you'll be proud of. For some of you in here, you're going to surprise yourselves with seeing like the person that you grow into from this. You're going to be like really proud, like really ecstatic and self-fulfilled. You'll be providing yourself with a lot of love, and that'll allow you to not require that or look from that for that in other people, which will give other people more space to just exist and enjoy life around you. And you'll find that other people will also be surprised with how much you've grown with the new you that you've created. And a lot of that is going to be what drives you into this energy of the Ten of Cups, of having total emotional fulfillment, whatever that looks like for you. So, this is a really exciting message, actually. Like, it started in sort of like some sad energies, but all of this is like really good stuff, showing that you're going to heal. And even though the healing process can be difficult and scary and feel bad, because some of the emotions you have to move through are bad ones, you'll come out the other side um, better than ever, and you'll be a you that you're happy with like never before. So, this is all really exciting stuff. And I want to thank you one more time for picking me as your reader. It means a lot that some of you out there would trust me to talk about like such a rough topic. And if you would like to leave a comment to show your support to other pile number twos or talk about what's going on, I would love to hear it. If you want to keep things more private, but you still want to talk to me, you can email us. Our email is in the video description. If you like tarot card readings and you would enjoy having some daily ones that only take like a couple minutes, I just recently moved, and now that I'm settled in, we are going to, and by we I mean Lunatic Click, we're going to start uploading daily mini tarot card readings on Instagram. You can find our Instagram handle in the video description, or you can just search at Lunatic Click in Instagram and you'll find us. And the last thing I have to mention is if you like any of the crystals you see in this video and you want to buy some masterfully cleansed, energy cleansed crystals, you can find them on our website, which is also in the video description, or you can just search lunaticclick.com. So with that, I will call this pile done. I wish you all the best of luck, and I will see you next time in a brand new reading. Welcome, my dears, to pile number 3. So if you chose this pile based on the small piece of quartz, we'll put it here. Or with the new chapter tarot, then you found the right pile. We're going to put the tarot cards aside and we'll use them later for more details or questions as we see fit. And I would like to start with your significator cards. So most of these are oracle cards, a couple of them are tarot cards, and we'll just start flipping them over, see what energies we get. So thank you for choosing me as your reader for this pile. So first we have the alchemical flame. Maybe we'll put it here. Kind of want to put it under the quartz. That looks nice, right? Yeah, why not? Okay. Maybe that's significant. Next we have the Cosmic Child, which is number 9. We'll put that right next to the alchemical flame. Then we have Echo, which is number 13. Does it look weird off center? It might bother some of you. We'll move it slightly. Okay, for your tarot card, you have the Four of Pentacles in reverse. I feel like this is really important, but I want more information before I unpack why. There's something also imagery related to like the 2 pentacles being in the roots of the tree. I mean, this way it looks like they're up higher than him, but that's because he's in reverse. Next, we'll talk about your Dragon Oracle card. You got Love. Very pink. There's something about like yellow. Just warm tone here, a warm tone here. There's lots of like splattery effects, like stars. Here, there. And when I saw this card, I thought the background was like a moon, but it's not. I don't think. Okay, we'll keep going. We have the bat. Now, normally, I don't take these cards in reverse, but this card feels weird for me when it's not in reverse. So we will figure that out as we go. Maybe it applies to the Four of Pentacles in reverse. I'm not sure yet. But again, we have like that warm tone, the stars, and then a moon. So there's a lot of consistent symbolism going on. What do I want you? I guess right here is okay. And you can see the whole card. Perfect. Oh, you guys got 3 of these animal cards. Right. So next we have the tiger. There it goes with the clarification. So the tiger also has like a crest of a moon on it and that same like yellowy color. I think I want to put him over here. Okay. And then we have the octopus. The octopus we'll put over here. No, I like it right there. Okay. We have 2 more cards. I kind of want to unpack or reveal all your cards, and then we'll start unpacking them heavily. So let us see what we get. We have the buffalo spirit with number 10, and it says the abundant universe will provide. And I think I'm going to put him on the left. So on the right, potentially, we have number 37 with the lion spirit. It says, be generous of spirit. I sort of wanted to put him over here, but I think actually I feel better with the lion being there. He's kind of like facing all the cards, so okay. I think the first thing I want to talk about is just how pink this card is. It feels so vibrant, like bright and holistically pink, that it could like radiate that color and be its own star. And if we look in the top right corner of the alchemical flame, there's like this odd little, it comes across as like a star at first, but it's like very bright and spread out. It almost looks like maybe a little creature with wings. And I feel like I'm getting a download. I should call it a message. I'm getting a message that your inner child, is what this card is symbolizing, is also right here. And it's symbolizing love at the same time. I feel like your inner child is very loving, very playful, which is usually what inner children can tend to be. Um, but there's an emphasis on the love aspect here. And I feel like you had a lot of love to give. See how like she's kind of like trying to hug the big star here? I feel like your inner child wants to give everybody hugs. Like they're very loving, very kind, they're very supportive, and they're like enthusiastic about it. Like they have that air of when someone tells them what they like or explains what they're into. Your inner child is just like, oh, that's so cool. Like they kind of see like the best in everybody from an aspect of like amazement and like passion. And because somebody else thinks something's cool, even if you're not into it, you can empathize with that and like through the energy of love, like be supportive and about it and intrigued by it as long as you're interacting like with that other person, even if it's not like one of your hobbies. I feel like somewhere along the way, your world got turned upside down. At least that's the message I'm getting. Where what used to feel really stable with the Four of Pentacles, fours are very stable cards. What used to feel really stable feels stable in like a different way. The Four of Pentacles talks about stability in feeling supported, like physically through resources, abundance, like physical abundance, could be finances, doesn't have to be. But the Four of Pentacles in reverse can also symbolize an energy of like an unwillingness to let go. And the bat, when it's upright, talks about letting go. So in reverse, if the bat's world is turned upside down, I think it has an inability to do what it normally does. It has an inability to let go and transform. The bat symbolizes a little bit of the energy we see in the Death Tarot card, which I know death can sound scary, but in tarot, it just means like the ending of something that makes room for like something new to grow. And so the bat is a lot of finishing a cycle and starting a new one. It symbolizes like rebirth as well. And so I think that with these two cards being in reverse, there's a very emphasized depiction of not letting go of something. What I saw with the Four Pentacles when I initially flipped it was the two pentacles up here. And it kind of felt like you were really stable. You were confident that you were stable, but something happened. And like I heard, from the back card, like my world got turned upside down and now I'm having trouble flying. It feels like your world got turned upside down and you really only had access to like half of what you did before. And so instead of being stable with the Four of Pentacles, I saw like you now have to make some unpleasant choices uh, with the Two of Pentacles, because the two is all about choices. It's kind of a complex message to get from one card, huh? And with the Cosmic Child here with her arms out, it's like you could see her as like letting go of this star, but I kind of see it a different way right now where she's like trying to catch it and like hold it. So I'm not sure what this energy of a refusal to let go is, one of the pieces of text in the actual back card for the Four of Pentacles is, if you love it, let it go. And so I'm still trying to depict with this love card if this is really possessive, which it looks like it might be very like possessive energy, considering two of our cards have told us it's possessive, or if you're actually like letting something go, because that line really stuck out to me of, if you love it, let it go. I want to talk about the octopus and the tiger card. The tiger card is a powerful energy. It symbolizes um, being in touch with your feminine energy, being very like reflective, understanding like the deeper parts of you that a lot of people don't really get to see. It's very like sensual, emotionally in tune, and it's able, as a tiger being a predator, it's not necessarily like predatory energy or like a relentless pursuit of something, but the tiger's able to understand what it's attracted to, what its desires are, what it wants, and it can focus on moving towards those things, even in complete darkness. Like, even if it's seemingly difficult to navigate your way, the tiger still has the ability to move towards those things because of how it can navigate using its emotions and its deep sense of what it's being pulled to. So, like, its intuition and internal compass, like following its heart, kind of, if you will. The octopus, on the other hand, is an energy that generally shows a lack of boundaries. I think this card is really interesting in conjunction with everything else we got here because, like I was saying earlier, when we talked about how with the love card, you're able to be passionate about other people's passions because other people having things that they're passionate about is exciting for you. Like, you're very supportive, you're very like interested. Just because you like the person is enough of a reason to be interested in what they're interested in while they're interested in it. While they're passionate about it, you can like share in that, in their excitement when you're with them. And I think the octopus is interesting because it talks about being excited about sharing like relationships with other people, but it does so in a way to where it gets pretty tangled up, and it tangles up other people. So it's not really like a needy energy, although other people may perceive it as needy, but it's just very like naively lacking boundaries. So it's a lot of oversharing on your end and asking a lot of questions and getting really up in other people's business, um, because you also want them to overshare just because you're like excited or interested in them. And I think it's not really like nosy or malicious, you know, it's not like gossipy neighbors or something like that. It's more of just like the energy is unbalanced or just a little bit like naive and not in tune with the world and what others want. So it's very I heard possessive, So for some of you, it can be like possessive, but it's not coming from a place of control, domination, obsession. It's just that whatever you're seeing in these other people around you that you're passionate about and that inspire you so much is so exciting to you that it doesn't occur to you naturally to actually like exercise boundaries or think about boundaries. And I think part of that is a false assessment on some of your parts where you think that because you're really close with somebody or you describe yourself as being in a really close relationship with somebody that there's no need for these boundaries because of how close you are. But maybe that other person doesn't see you two as being as close, or maybe this other person or persons, I should say, um, maybe even if they see you like as close of friends or having as close of a relationship, they still would prefer to have different stricter boundaries than you. And that's just because like everyone's personalities are different. And so it's not like you're inherently doing anything wrong. I'm not getting that like you're doing something upsetting to other people on purpose. And I feel like this message might like hurt some of your feelings out there because it's always a letdown to hear like I wanted something more out of a relationship and I didn't think I was doing anything wrong, but they're obviously bothered by it and like now it makes me feel bad about myself because like if I'm just being me and that's bothering other people, like that feels bad. And I don't necessarily think that like that's the right way to self-assess or go about things. I don't really think there's a reason to have hurt feelings. And from your spirit guides, I'll tell you why. I think that exercising better boundaries could be healthy because I think part of what's happening here and why there's a lack of boundaries is because you're so excited about experiencing other people that you're kind of experiencing life through other people. You know, like you're so excited about them being passionate about things that like you mirror that and you experience passion like through them. Like you get excited when they talk about stuff that excites them and you enjoy what they're enjoying as long as you're with them, but then when you're not with them, like you don't feel called to do whatever it is they're doing. Like if they're really into golfing, like you would never golf by your own or take the initiative to go do that, but like because they're into it, you really want to go with them and learn everything about it and do everything about it when you're with them. And so it's like I think part of you is just very not disorganized and not necessarily lost, but like you lack direction. And what I see with the tiger energy being like really in tune with the deeper parts of yourself, like the hidden parts of yourself, the emotions that don't come out to the surface, your intuition, being able to hear what your heart has to say and what you want out of life. I see that you're going to step into this energy of embracing what you want and your direction. And instead of using like up your energy to express these heightened emotions of excitement, intrigue, joy, bliss, passion, whatever it is, like that takes a lot of energy. And after you hang out with these people, you might feel like satisfied, like, oh, I had a really good day, but you'll also be tired and you'll be like ready to just relax or like go to bed or something, you know? And I think that what you're going to end up doing when you move into this energy, which is something I see you doing like this lunar cycle, new moon to new moon, or in the next couple weeks if you're watching this, not when it's released, is you're going to connect with yourself on a deeper level to start to understand what you're excited about instead of watching what people who you like and who you have good relationships with, what they're interested in, being excited about it with them. Like you're actually going to develop your own callings, your own passions, your own hobbies, and it's not going to matter to you whether or not other people are interested in it or supporting you, because they're your passions. And like because they're just yours, and they're being developed through like your emotions and input and desires only. If other people are into it, that's great, and that can make the experience more pleasant when they're around. But if they're not into it, it doesn't detract from your enjoyment of those passions. And so I think here it's just like you're lacking, or lately you've been lacking a little bit of direction. So you've been living like vicariously through other people to experience that joy of doing something that you're called to do, because lately you haven't been feeling that. And I think that's part of why it kind of feels like your world has been turned upside down. And I think that the possessiveness of other people might come through in terms of like, because you're really only experiencing this much fulfillment, excitement, joy, bliss, gratitude, success, whatever it is, from hanging out with these other people and doing what they want to do. I feel like you're a little bit possessive over spending time with them, because that's the only way you really like get to experience these really great heightened emotions, because lately you've been like lacking the direction yourself. So I think that as you go inwards and do some work, or sit down with yourself calmly and quietly and just ask like, what do I want to do? And if your immediate answer is hang out with these people, like sit with yourself a little longer and figure out like what activities you're interested in. Like what hobbies do I want? What sports do I want to play? What do I want to learn how to do? Like, do I want to take classes? Do I want to go to college? Do I want to start a new career? Do I want a new job? Like, if I'm genuinely interested in a hobby a friend has, that maybe ask yourself like, would I have as much fun if it was just me doing it? Like, could I see myself doing this by myself and have nobody else support me in it? Or do I only want to do it because it excites me to think we could do it together? And if that's the answer, then like keep sitting with yourself and think of something else. And if you genuinely can't think of anything to do, like just spend some time dirtling around. You'd be surprised how easy it is to stumble onto something that sounds exciting to you. Like you could find like a new board game you're really into. You could find like a book series. You could find a new hobby, um, like crocheting, painting, learning how to upholster furniture. Maybe you really want to get into like house flipping or like gardening, or there's so many things. Maybe you just want to like skateboard. um, or start like going out for walks. Like maybe hiking is your thing. Maybe you want to go work at like an animal shelter and make connections with people and figure out how to start doing like dog training or something. Like there's so much stuff out there. um and I think just dirtling around like um online, and just doing like a lot of googles, going down the rabbit holes that are like, Reddit, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever it is for you. Like you'll start to find things that you think are really cool, and you can start like being exposed to new things, like maybe you used to like painting but now you're not into it. So maybe instead of like watercolor painting, you really want to try like oil painting instead. Like it could be more nuanced than just like a full blown brand new hobby. But I think as long as you're not getting like consumed by the rabbit hole that is social media and the internet, there's there's just like there's a lot that you can experience and see, be exposed to, and excited by, that you otherwise wouldn't see if we didn't have the internet, which is kind of why people get like stuck in that rabbit hole. Now, it's only really a problem when like instead of saying, "Oh, this is really cool, I'm inspired, I'm gonna go like do it myself," you sit there on the internet, you never experience life by yourself, and then you start comparing yourself to all these people, and you're like, "No, I could never do it because I can't do it as well as them," and all that. And I don't see that energy here with you. I just see like it's time for you to self-assess and look inwards and figure out what your new passion is, to give yourself a little bit of direction. And you'll find that once you're excited about something that's truly yours, you'll start seeing healthy boundaries go in place without effort or hurt feelings at all. And you'll actually see like your close friends, they'll reach out to you, because I have a feeling right now you're always reaching out to them. They'll actually reach out to you and say like, "Hey, what's going on? Like, used to hear from you more. I kind of miss you. Like, do you want to hang out?" And you might have moments where you're like, "No, I don't want to go golf with you. Like, I want to go do my thing. So I'm busy today." And they might be like, "Oh, can I come with you? Or maybe we can hang out later." And you'll be like, "Yeah, sure, let me make time for that." And so you'll kind of see that like healthy boundaries get set up, um, more as like a side effect of you rebalancing yourself. And the rebalancing is just finding like your own direction and passions in life again, or like reinvigorating old ones you had that maybe you forgot about. And all the squeaks in the background are actually my dog's playing right now. There he goes. And I feel like that's kind of a good sign of, um, the energy you're going to be in, of like being really playful and doing something just for you, you know? Like he's not playing with that toy because I bought it for him or anything. He's playing with it because he likes the toy. And that's kind of the energy you're going to be in, of like you're experiencing this thing because it brings you joy, and that's enough. And I think with the alchemical flame card, we haven't talked about it a lot. I think that something really great is going to come from whatever new direction it is. And I think that a lot of good is going to come from whatever new direction or passion this is. Like it's not just going to be a little passion, it's going to be something that blossoms into like a big passion. It might be something that you spend a lot of your time doing, that you revolve some of your life around. For example, if you get really into gardening, maybe later in your life you'll move to somewhere that has like a better climate for it, or you'll build a greenhouse, or you'll take some classes and you'll start like writing books and do seminars on it, or you'll find like a whole new community of people that are really into it, and they like adore what you've been able to achieve, and they're like so into you and so excited, and you guys have like a healthy relationship, but you have one where like more of your time can be devoted to this, because in your free time you're also like spending time talking about that hobby, learning new things about it, because you're just interacting with people that have a wealth of knowledge about it, they're interested in it, and they want to talk about it all the time with you. Um, so a lot of good can come out of this. This could, I'm hearing for some of you, this could be like a reformation of like your health, and your body image. So some of you might be getting like really into makeup. Some of you might become passionate about, like, if you're a doctor, maybe you want to specialize in like plastic surgery. That was pretty specific. But some of you like might actually get like really into like veganism or bodybuilding or something. Like you change your diet and you change your exercise, and all of a sudden you feel a lot better, just like health wise, because your body is running more efficiently and your hormones are changing to be a lot better. Like your sleep cycles get more regulated, you have more energy, but then you also feel good because your self-esteem goes up. You feel like you look better and you're proud of it, and you can like see your accomplishments in the mirror and everything, and like it makes you feel really great. And then you have a bunch of friends that are like, hey, you should come to this really nice prestigious like gym with us. We'll let you in on like our guest membership, and then now all of a sudden you have friends to do this really cool thing with, and no one sees it as like an invasion of boundaries or anything, because all of you were going to do it anyway. And maybe they teach you like new ways to exercise and new ways to eat, to like bulk up or lean down or whatever it is you want to do, or they teach you a new exercise that can actually work out a muscle group like you had trouble developing. Like, who knows? But like that's the kind of excitement I'm getting from this. It's like it doesn't matter what your passion is. It's gonna flourish into something bigger than you expected or imagined when you just start on it. The hardest part for you is just sitting down with yourself and embracing some of this like tiger energy and taking time to figure out like what your next passion is. And it's not something that you can force. It's just something where like you'll see it and you'll go, "Oh, it's kind of cool." So you'll like keep digging around and seeing more and more of it, and then you'll just be into it, you know? There's not a better way to explain it. It's just one of those things where like when you know, you know. And I think one of the ways to explain that better is like if you remember back to when you were a kid, like there was something you really liked to do. You had like a favorite toy or a favorite something you loved to go do outside, right? Like you had your like favorite action figure or stuffed animal, or you really loved like your bike or your scooter or this like ball, whatever it was. Like that was your jam. And or every time you got to go enjoy it, like you took that opportunity without question, and you would like ask your parents like, can I go do this? Can I have more time to go do what I want to do? um, and you didn't have to justify to yourself like why you were passionate about it or why you liked it. Like you just liked it and were passionate about it, and you enjoyed your time when you did it. Like that's the energy around whatever it is you're going to find next. And so be patient with yourself. Like if it takes you a while to figure out what it is, like that's fine, you know. It's worth it. It's worth it to have something that helps make life worth living. And it's such a big one that like you're going to sculpt your life more around it and build really beautiful things from it. So it's like this is definitely worth taking as much time as you need. You shouldn't feel like you have to rush into it. And I think that first step of understanding, like, I want to go find something that's just for me, will actually start this putting up boundaries process and making everybody feel more balanced and less uncomfortable. So don't feel like you need to rush into this just to make others around you feel comfortable. If if they were really like that upset and uncomfortable with it, like they would have started putting up their own boundaries and saying like, "Hey, like we're not hanging out today." Like they would have already done that. And if they really disliked you as a person, like they wouldn't tolerate you being around. And later when you get really passionate, so you find that you're busier, you want to allocate your time towards this thing more often, your friends won't reach out to you and be like, "Where have you been? I want to hang out." As you'll see, they'll start doing. So, like, don't put pressure on yourself, because some of you might feel bad that your friends or others, like, might be a little like unsatisfied with the dynamics of your relationship. don't put pressure on yourself for that, because like as soon as you start working on yourself, like all that's going to be alleviated, and it's going to do so in a way that's effortless for all parties involved. And I think that's what the Echo card is talking about. I was kind of puzzled by this card for a minute, but I think with all the moon symbolism that I was picking up on, uh the moon's kind of symbolizing like your inner you, and tapping into that to find like your next big direction and focus and joy slash love in life. And I think it's time for you to just start looking at that and enjoying it and seeing life lit up in a way that reflects that. So like when it's dark outside and the moon is full, the moon actually illuminates things around you and you can see it, right? But they look different than when it's the middle of the day and the sun's illuminating things. And so even though they're the same objects, you perceive them differently, they look differently. And I think that's a lot of what this card is talking about, is like when you start viewing the world through the lens of what do I want to do? What do I want to pursue? What am I passionate about? Certain things will stand out to you and you'll be more excited about specific things. And those are the things that you'll go pursue. And it'll be like really healthy for you and really exciting. Like this is one of those moments where like you get reinvigorated with that feeling of life is worth living. And I think that's what these two cards over here are talking about. Like the buffalo says the abundant universe will provide. Like it's not just going to introduce you to a new passion and love of your life. It's going to give you the outlets, the avenues, the opportunities, the resources, the time, the courage, whatever it is you need. It's going to give you that so that you can go start to enjoy it and continue to enjoy it. Because I hear for a lot of you, this is like a lifelong thing. And with the lion here saying be generous of spirit, I feel like a lot of this is just being generous with yourself. So this is about giving yourself the space, the patience, the courage, putting aside the time, money, whatever it is, purposely to go do that thing for you instead of trying to like chase around other people. This is about like doing something for you. So it's like being generous with yourself, because that's something that um by piggybacking off of other people, trying to live vicariously with this passion through other people, you kind of haven't been generous with yourself. You've been gypping yourself. And it hasn't been on purpose, so like be kind and patient with yourself. um but it's just something where it's like this message found you because you're being called to fix it and you're ready to fix it, because you probably feel like stuff has been a little bit off for some amount of time now. And you're finally ready to move forward and really enthrall yourself, immerse yourself in something that's going to be like a lifelong passion goal. So I don't really know what questions I want to ask. I can't really tell you like what this new passion will be, because this is a general reading and all of you are going to be different. All I can do is read energies, not necessarily specific details. But I just want to see if we get any other cards, any other messages, to kind of figure out what's going on here. I also feel with this pile, like when I was pulling the cards and everything, that this pile's really quiet. It's more in the mind of like few words can say more than enough. And it's not necessarily curt, it's just concise. And I think that's a lot of the energy reflections of you kind of already being in this state of self-reflection, because when you understand yourself, you don't necessarily need a lot of words. Like when you sit there and meditate, for those of you who meditate regularly, like you kind of understand that there isn't a lot that needs to be said. Like your mind is really quiet and you get great messages, but those messages don't ramble on. The only thing that rambles on is like an overactive mind or an ego. So we got 3 cards, 4 cards. And I think there's a lot of knowing in this pile. Like I hear a lot of like, you know what to do. There's a lot of clarity and mental clarity. And I think that's why your pile has the clear quartz as the stone of choice. Because like you understand um like what there is to do and what there is that like you need to do already. Like you're moving into this energy of the tiger already. And I said that was going to be the hardest part of all of this, so like you're already over that hump probably. You're already thinking about like what do I want to do, and that's the first big step. So we got some cards. We got more than I thought we would, which I'm okay with. But we have the Queen of Wands. Now, with this deck, I will say stuff shows up in reverse a lot, and that's just because of uh, who usually talks to me through this tarot deck. It comes through a filter of somebody who's reversed, like upside down, you know, like as above, so below. If you want to think about it that way, sometimes you have like the as above being right side up and the so below being like upside down. And this tarot deck was like really early claimed. Like the first time I used it, it was kind of claimed by um, somebody who resonates and identifies with the so below part. So most of their cards will actually show up in reverse just because that's how they see things and talk to me. So don't worry about that. You shouldn't worry about reverse cards anyway, because they're not necessarily a bad thing. But sometimes with this deck, I won't take like reversals as the reverse meaning, because that's just how they talk to me. So anyway, we have the Fool next to the Star. And we kind of got a little bit of that symbolism before, like with this love dragon looking like it's coming from like a star corner of the alchemical card. I feel like what's really happening here is like the Fool is all about naively starting a new journey of like, you know, you want to start it, but you have no knowledge of how to do it. And the Star has a lot to do with like dreams coming true. And this is being over the tiger card here. This is like the perfect energy of what you want to be in when you're looking for a new passion. Like you're excited about it. You're like, "Oh, that's so cool. Like I want to do that too." And like I'm going to be the best person ever at it and all this stuff. And so you just like you go get started and then you figure out, "Oh, I don't know how to do this." And like I'll figure that out now, and like, "Oh, I didn't know I needed this or that or whatever it is." You know, like how do I put it? It's kind of like when you start skateboarding, for example. Like you say, "Oh, that's really cool. Like I want a skateboard." And then you figure out like there's different sizes of boards. And maybe some of them work better for you than others. And there's different wheels, and like maybe because of the size of your feet, you need like a slightly different type of board. And maybe instead of you like try doing a lot of tricks and you're like tricks aren't for me, I actually want to do like longboarding instead and like do a lot of more casual like long distance stuff. And so you like say, okay, never mind, like I want to go do this instead. Or maybe you did watercolor painting, but now you want to try like acrylic or oil painting. And you say, oh, I need different brushes for that. And like, oh, I don't know what kind of paint is best. Now I'm going to try a whole bunch. Stuff like that, where it's like you're excited and you don't really know how you're going to get where you're going, but like you know you're going to go get there. And it's going to feel like a dream come true, not necessarily when you master whatever it is you're doing, but just the act of going on the journey and starting the journey is going to be enough to feel excited about it. And like that's how you know it's a true passion, is when it's not about the end goal, it's about the act of doing the passion, you know. And you can tell that when you watch really good athletes play sports. Like winning a game is really great, but that's not the only reason they're there. Like they started getting into the sport when they were younger because they truly enjoyed just playing the game. So that's the energy that you're going to be in here once you find your passion. I think that with the Knight of Discs and the Queen of Wands here. With the Knight of Discs being over the octopus and the bat and the echo card, this is reiterating one more time, and like its reverse does mean something. This is reiterating one more time that like you were stalled out, you weren't really like moving forward or progressing in a meaningful way. And as long as you live vicariously through other people to feel those emotions of excitement, success, ambition, you're gonna stay stalled out. So it's like the sooner you try to find your passion or actually pursue it, like the happier you're gonna be and the quicker you're gonna be happier. So that's a reminder there. With the Queen of Wands over the Buffalo Spirit that talked about the universe will provide like whatever it is that you need. I feel like the universe is going to send you ways of not just like understanding and discovering your passion, but they're also going to send little reminders, like little quips or messages that will help you feel encouraged and courageous enough to go pursue this passion. And that doesn't mean you're going to like have to pursue your passion publicly, but sometimes people get like a little bit embarrassed and a little bit like nervous about trying new things, even if it's just with themselves. And the universe is going to send you like some different messages and ways to encourage you uh, to be courageous and not worry about if it feels silly or what other people or your friends might think. Like this is just for you. So live live with it to the max and don't shame yourself for it, and don't worry about if other people would shame yourself for it. Like this is for you, so like their opinions are irrelevant. And I think for a lot of you there might be some growth here where maybe you feel slightly embarrassed or silly about certain passions you have because in your past you've had experiences where people have had negative emotions about those things. Like maybe people have said like made fun of a lot of people who want to play a certain video game, um, because that's like really nerdy. Or maybe you want to like go build robots that fight other robots, and like a lot of your friends growing up have kind of like shit on that and like bullied people who were in like the robotics club or whatever. And so even though you want to do it, you still feel embarrassed about it, even if you do it in secret by yourself and don't tell anyone about it. And I think that you're gonna, if that's kind of a group that you're in, there's gonna be a lot of growth here where you break past those limiting, really sad expectations you had, where a passion that you have is something you should be like embarrassed about or ashamed of just because someone else doesn't like it and they're not coming from a place of love and they're making fun of it because they have their own problems and their problems don't need to be your problems. And so I think some of you are going to get messages about that and like encouragement to grow past that, and this is going to be like a really big achievement for you. And I just feel like an overwhelming sense of like pride and fulfillment and joy and happiness of just like letting all that go. And it's like the happiness and calmness that comes after the sigh of relief. Like this lion being super sure and having their sights fixed on what they want, but being like really calm at the same time. Like I kind of feel like that's where you're gonna be at. Like there's a lot of just contentment and clarity and tranquility like after that sigh of relief. So this is like a really big growth and level up moment, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy for you. The last few cards I want to talk about here. So you have the Ace of Swords, you have the Three of Swords, and you got a card under this. I feel like this isn't you. This is your spirit guides talking because they use a lot more words. And you have the Princess of Cups, which is the page. Um, The Page of Cups. I feel like what's going on here is the aces are always a suit of like a new beginning, a new start, which is what we saw with the Fool. And I think that you're gonna start on this journey of like mental clarity in a way to where you're gonna be able to decide like what's for you and what's not for you, which is what we talked about a lot over here. And you're gonna do so in a way to where you can kind of, I'm hearing like cut through the bullshit, where you can very easily tell people and yourself like, this is for me, this isn't for me. I don't want you around me right now if you're not going to like respect me and what I like to do, because I'm not hurting anybody and I think this is really cool. So, you making me feel bad for my passions is disrespectful and I don't need to welcome that into my life. Like, I think you're actually going to be proactively putting up boundaries, or at least some of you, like if that message resonates with you. And then with the Three of Swords here, I feel like you're going to start building up that community of, or like weeding out and refining a community of people that like they respect you and they support you, and they're going to do to a lesser degree, like to a healthy degree, what you were doing with other people, where they're like, this isn't one of my hobbies and I don't really get it, but like it's so cool that you're into that. So for example, like if you build robots to fight other robots and you go to like an event where you're actually going to fight other people's robots, like you have friends that they don't know anything about building robots or how to fight with them, but they'll come with you and cheer you on and they'll get really excited. And like if yours takes down another one, they'll be like, "Oh, that was so cool," like they're gonna enjoy it for what it is and be supportive for you. Like there's community here and they're gonna be okay with like using their words to support you in that. And then with the Page of Cups down here, what I really see is that you're gonna start in this new energy of emotional fulfillment. And I think that's why these cards are pointing towards the alchemical flame. It's because you're gonna feel like everything is worth it. You're gonna feel like the effort you put in was worth it, the growth you put in was worth it. If you had to cut ties with certain toxic people or disrespectful people, it was worth it, especially because you found like a new community. And emotionally you're going to feel like a lot more at ease and you're going to be really happy and proud of yourself that you made the choices that you did, and you're going to be like thankful every day that you get to enjoy your hobby, that you discovered it and you were courageous enough to go go out and enjoy it and pursue it and love it for what it is. Um, it's like a really big moment. I'm gonna start tearing up. So this is really big energy. And I think on the flip side of this, the most important card, which was the first card that came out, was the Tower. And I think this was you talking, because like one card was enough. That's all you really needed to say. Um, but the Tower is the the ending of something, and it's a pretty abrupt end. It can be kind of cataclysmic, and it can feel very like not just unexpected, but like painful or traumatic. Like you weren't prepared for it. It just everything just fell apart all of a sudden. And I feel like for you, maybe some stuff will feel like it's falling apart as you start to make this change and live a life filled with activities and passions that you're actually genuinely passionate about. So maybe for some of you, what's falling away is like old habits, disrespectful people, disingenuous friends, um, like other things that you filled your time with that don't mean anything. So, like, if we're going with like the bodybuilder example, certain foods that you used to enjoy and potentially binge, like they won't hit the same anymore after you get healthier. Like you won't want to eat as much sugar ice cream because it starts to make you like feel bad instead of good. So you're just not interested in it anymore. um, Stuff like that. where it's like certain things that you didn't expect to fall away are just going to start like crumbling away from you. And it might feel kind of bad or weird or uncomfortable at first because it's like I filled my time or my social space, or I devoted like energy and mental capacity to those things. So when they're not there, it's kind of uncomfortable because you're like, now what? What do I do? And for some of you, it'll be like a habit. You'll be like, but I always ate. Like I always sat down and watched my favorite show for a couple hours and like ate junk food. Like now what do I do instead? And so it's just going to feel strange, but ending a habit always feels kind of strange. So like this is just a reminder that like it's okay. And if you notice stuff starting to fall away from you, that means that you're making progress towards like a happier, better you. And this is a reminder that like your future self and your spirit guides are all like extremely proud of you for doing this, because for most of you in this pile, this is actually going to take a lot of courage just to make that change and then stick with it. So I think we'll leave the reading there. This was a really exciting reading, and I want to thank you one more time for trusting me and letting me be your reader, because this is like a really big deal and a really sensitive moment for a lot of you. So thank you. Thank you for being here, as always. If you want to let me know what's going on, because I'm so excited for you, feel free to leave a comment. Or if you want to support other Pile 3s, you can leave a comment too. If you want to let me know, but you want to keep things more private, you can email us. Our email is in the video description. And if you like tarot card readings and you want to enjoy daily readings that only take like a minute or two to get through, you can follow us on Instagram at lunaticclick.com, or not without the .com, at lunaticclick. The Instagram handle is also in the video description if you don't want to go find it yourself. And if you like any of the crystals here and you want some masterfully pre-charged energy crystals for healing, energy cleansed crystals for healing, you can visit our website, lunaticclick.com, which is also in the video description. So, with all that said, I would like to thank you one more time for being the amazing person that you are and going through this big, scary change. I believe in you. I wish you all the luck in the world as you move forward. And I will see you next time in a brand new video.